All right. So today, our we happy few are gathered here to explore common problems with kickoff meetings and what you can do to address them by remixing the popular game storming games. This is our guide today. This is David Mastronardi. He leads the game storming group, and he and I are collaborating on an amazing, cool project that we will share more about tomorrow. Today, though, we're going to focus on kickoffs, and as always, we would love feedback. So here is the feedback link. Go ahead and open it now so that if you have to leave or something happens, it's in your browser staring you in the face saying, hey, I'm going to give these folks some feedback. And then at the end, we would love to have that. And with that, I will turn it over to Dave. Thanks, Dave, for coming. Thanks for putting time together for our collective here.
Of course, yeah. Small as it may be to start, and we'll adapt as people join. But if it's just the four of us, that's okay too. Elise, will you participate as? Okay, great. Just to give me a sense from groupings and timings and things. So, the kickoff meeting. What I've got planned for us today is really going to be informed by your experiences and your expectations for kickoff meetings. I've put together an agenda for us. I'll share with you the Miro board link that we're going to be working in. And it's going to be, the workshop here is going to be largely dependent on your participation, because you don't want to hear me talk for a number of reasons. One of them being a nagging cough that I have that I'm going to try to control. But the agenda is set up for you to share and ideate about how we might make better kickoff meetings. So with that, I am going to put into the chat here a link to our Miro board.
I gotta go find the mouse because I have a trackpad and I cannot work with that. So I'm coming in 2 minutes.
Oh, because of Miro, Marta?
Yeah.
Have you ever changed the scroll settings?
I have,
Miro?
but I'm not really a touchpad person, so I need my mouse. I'm going to look for it. 2 minutes.
Okay, that's what we're diametrically opposed, because I love my Magic Trackpad. It's the only thing I use. And so I think Maha has joined here as well. And
David, have you ever had this problem that people cannot get connected to Miro or Miro?
Sometimes it's been blocked, but it's never been other than a direct block through a firewall. I don't think I've had a lot of problems with connectivity. Are you having issues, Pedram?
Yes, due to sanctions. I don't know. It might be due to sanctions. We are not. It is filtered here, and we cannot get connected to Miro or the other one. I don't know, Muro. None of them are working here.
I see. Okay.
You see how we are living in this country.
Well, I think what we might be able to do is use some screen sharing, and then perhaps you can type into chat, and we might be able to get your ideas. Either we can read them off the chat, or we might be able to take what you have and put them in Post-it notes into into the board. So
awesome.
I suppose I'll do that now. Maha, are you there? I'll put.
She ran to get some headphones. She'll be back.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi, everybody. I'm on my phone, but I'm just going to download the Miro app because I know that it exists. So on the phone, I think I need to use the app.
Okay, I put the link in there again in case you came in after we posted it the first time. So what I'm going to do is I'll go in and I'll start to share the screen now. That way, hopefully everybody's able to see. So this
I just want to call out a moment, because this is an innovation community and a learning community. Amazing job navigating like pretty much every technical difficulty you could have.
That's right.
Yeah, one moment. So let's hold on to
Right.
this as a yay.
The mobile, the desktop, the mouse, the trackpad, and just the sheer connectivity of it all, right?
Yes.
So we'll make do.
On the phones, on the desktop, blocked. Who knows?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
this is going to be our playground for the next 90 minutes or so. Okay. I'm going to walk you briefly through our agenda, and then we're going to get right into our opening activity. So we're going to explore kickoff meetings again from an experiential standpoint, but we're gonna walk through some challenges that we've had with kickoffs. And if I'm assuming you've been through a kickoff meeting before, whether as a participant, perhaps as a host, as a kicker, if you will. If not, you can simply imagine bad meetings, because actually kickoff meetings and regular meetings have a lot in common, as we'll go through here. Then we're going to do something called the anti-problem, which is a wonderful little game to get you unstuck around how you might make these challenges better. Then we're going to get into some formal solutioning. And then we're going to close out with an activity around agency. So what's in your control, and what might you influence? Where might you need significant help in bringing about some of these changes? If you're in Miro, does anybody need a quick tutorial? Mostly what we're going to be doing is creating text-based digital Post-it notes, which I'm happy to show you how to do if we need to go through just a quick note. But if everybody's been through that, okay. So
I'm fine.
Great, and I'm looking at you, Marta, actually, because you're the only one with the camera on right now. So everything
I'm
is going to
good
go
with
by
Miro. I
good.
work a lot with Miro. Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to do a quick introduction opening game here. And the prompt is, it's to pick your nick. And so you're going to take one of these green circles and write your name in it and place it on the Nicolas Cage that best matches your mood when it comes to kickoff meetings. So you have a kickoff meeting coming up. So I'll just put, because sometimes it's hard to pick your nick, I'll just put a minute on the board. Okay. Thank you, Bedram.
I'll carry Pedram's
Thanks,
nick.
Elise.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I'm on the app and I was able to write my name, but I'm
Yeah.
not able to move it.
Oh,
It
no?
just moves the entire screen for me.
Where
Yeah.
would you like
No.
it, Maha?
At the meh.
Okay.
All right,
I
there
got
we
company
go.
already. Pedro's in the same place.
All right. So I'm going to just put 45 seconds on the board for each of us to go through, and just a quick introduction and kind of explaining your rationale for the Nicolas Cage that you picked. So real quickly, I'm Dave. I'm the founder of Game Storming Group, and I'm your guide for those of you who didn't hear Elise's introduction today. I'm based in Brooklyn, and I love a good project kickoff meeting because it's that point in a project. Obviously, it's not the first thing that happens because you've been working on it behind the scenes, but it's that you're leaving shore kind of feeling. And so I think I used to be not as relaxed about them as I do feel now, but I really get energized by a project kickoff because it really means progress. And having had a few under my belt, I feel good about facilitating and organizing a kickoff meeting. And so I'll pick the next person to go. So Marta, can I ask you to introduce yourself and explain your nick here?
My name is Marta. I live in Germany, and I have been making workshops for about 2.5 years, and some of them have been kickoff meetings. And it's always interesting to get the people who are going to work at the project together and let them get aligned about what it's going to be and what it's not going to be, and so on. So, very interesting subject.
Wonderful. Thanks, Marta. Would you pick who would go next here?
Oh, Maha, could you be the next?
Thank you. Hi, I'm Maha. I'm in Cairo in Egypt. And I picked Meh because a lot of times when I organize meetings, I'm excited about them. But the kickoff meetings and a lot of the projects that I'm involved in, I'm not the person kicking them off, and I hate the way they do them. So that's how I feel about the way they do them. But I have one coming up where I'm meh about the project, but I want to do it really well. So
Okay.
I'm hoping, like, I have very high hopes for this session.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
Well
good.
done.
That's great.
No pressure.
Thank you, Maha. Would you pick who goes next, Maha?
Pedro?
Yes, thank you, Maha. For me, it is. By the way, I'm in Iran. I'm living in Tehran, the capital, and I'm a freelancer, mainly working on facilitation related to health and management. For me, when I'm in kickoff meetings, I'm not doing kickoffs myself, but when I'm in there, I'm almost always worried that what is happening, and they make us more confused because they are not prepared for that. And all of us, when we are leaving the meeting, all of us are like question marks. That's it.
Pedram, I don't know if you're able to see. Pedram, would you pick who should introduce themselves next?
Yes, Fayara.
Hi everyone, I'm Tiara. I'm in the Bronx. I go to Brooklyn and New York. And I am an EA. I'm thinking a lot about how to help my organization have better meetings because it's a big mess right now. And I get excited about kickoff meetings. I love kickoff meetings. There's so much potential and promise. And it's like the start where we can actually lay a foundation that hopefully will carry us through. So they're exciting to me. So
That's great.
The first one's always good. Carrying that is always the challenging part.
That's right. Yeah, I find that the same way. Thanks, Tiara.
And I guess, I don't know, Elise is, I think, the only one left.
It's just me. So I'm Elise. I'm the host here today, and I help teams run successful meetings. So if that's something you're looking for, you know who to call. And I love kickoff meetings because a kickoff meeting, when well designed, is energetic and full of possibility, and you haven't messed anything up yet, right? Like at that stage in the project, it's all how might we and what if and possibility that has not yet been dulled by encounter with reality. So I love kickoffs. It's one of my favorite templates, actually, in our template library. So,
and at the end, we do have some resources to share. One of those being Elise's kickoff meeting template. The other being the template that we're going to use really as the architecture for the rest of our time together here. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to keep moving to the right. We just have games as we go to the right here. And if you get lost on the board, that's okay. I can kind of bring you to where we are. So now I'll just do that here. I'll bring everybody to me. So now you should be at this, the activity is called the Carousel of Challenges. It's got an orange header here. And so keeping with our theme of kickoff meetings, of course, what we're going to do here is spend a little time in each of the quadrants, and you can see they're labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to brainstorm some of the challenges that each of the topics in the quadrant present as it pertains to kickoff meetings. So what are people-related challenges when it comes to kickoff meetings? What are product and process challenges? Product being the thing you're going to create in the kickoff meeting, and the process might be the agenda that you use to create that product. So I'm going to give you a little over a minute in each quadrant. And again, it doesn't matter where you start. And then the bell will ring and I'll ask you to switch quadrants. So we'll do that 4 times. And you can go in any order as long as you hit all 4 of them. Okay. So I'm going to put I'll put 1:15 on the timer. So pick an area in which you'd like to start and go ahead and silently brainstorm and put as many Post-it notes in there as you can. All right. If there's any more that have come to mind, even if it's from a different quadrant, go ahead and put them in there. This looks great, though. So what we're going to do now is it's like the jelly to the post-up peanut butter, and we're going to go in and we're going to affinitize. So we're going to find the themes in each of the categories. So what I'm going to do is break you up into maybe not so randomly assigned rooms, only because I want to make consideration that Pedram might need to share a screen. So I might team Pedram up with you, Elise, in the breakout room. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Zoom assigns these breakout rooms by naming them Zoom breakout 1 and 2. They're in the people section. We're blocking 1. So if those of you in breakout group 1 could work on the odd number sections, so sections 1 and 3, and group together the themes from the post up. And if you're in breakout room 2, if you would do that for 2 and 4. So I'm going to send you into the breakout rooms for, I think 8 minutes should be enough. If it doesn't look like it's coming together, I'll put another few minutes on the time. So if you're in breakout group 1, please find the themes in 1 and then go to 3. And if you're in 2, that's 2 and then 4. Any questions before we go into the breakout?
Can I make a process recommendation?
Yes, Elise.
Given that we have this recording for our absent friends, and we need to, break into basically two groups of 3, how would you feel about Pedram and I staying here, and then having one breakout? Mm-hmm. And then we can work through the quadrants, and then record that part, and then people can see what it's like to do some bucketing. Oh, okay. Your choice. But here comes a new friend.
Yes.
Hi.
I retract my suggestion.
Hi, Hema.
Hi, Hema.
Hema, we're about to go into breakout rooms and do some affinity mapping on a brainstorm that we just did. So you're about to get thrown right into it.
Yay! So here's the link.
There's the Miro board. I'm going to first, let's see.
I had a question, I'm sorry. And is it just us dragging Post-its and kind of clustering them, or are we writing themes out somewhere else?
That's right. You can cluster them, and you can provide a title if you want to use it another Post-it, or however you want to add the text to it. If you want to give that category a name, absolutely. Oh, Elise, I don't think I can assign you because you're a host.
I can join now.
You can jump in.
I'll join. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So here's I'm gonna open the rooms. So again, room 1, sections 1 and 3. Room 2, 2 and 4. And here the rooms are open.
Are they?
Does nobody see?
I didn't get an invitation. I didn't get an invitation.
No, okay. I'm gonna close all the rooms and we're gonna try it again. Okay.
We're all here, huh?
We're still all here. Recreate. Oh, here we go. Okay. Whoa, back before Zoom pulls you in. It's always a good sign.
I think Zoom pulled me in. I didn't click anything.
Okay.
I'm not really. And Tiara, you're muted. Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying, I thought you left. I was like, oh, Maha just left me. And so I was just like,
I didn't. I just found myself here. I didn't
Yeah.
click anything. I don't know.
Well, welcome back. Was everybody able to get through all of your themes?
Mhm.
It was a rush. 10 minutes. It was a rush. Okay. There's a lot of content on the board. So how about we go through a quick share out of the themes. I'll put a minute 30 for not 13 minutes. How would group one feel about kicking us off and walking us through first people and then going into preparation? Group one. Marta, were you in group one? Would you mind walking us through your themes, Marta? But coming off mute first, of course.
You're
Marta.
muted, Marta. All this time.
Well, I was brought in and muted automatically, so I didn't notice. Yeah, it's fine. I can talk about that if it's
Sure.
okay for the others. We came to cluster this one theme here about power dynamics. How what people have to be there, and if important people are participating or not, and what's the theme about reporting lines and power. So we have some behavior, dominant behavior, or people wanting to show off. Then we have this people are already so busy that it's hard to find a place together for everybody, and they had different times to get prepared for the meeting. And then we have a role cluster here, not knowing what roles they should play or not paying attention to the roles they have. So those are the clusters we made.
Any questions before we go to preparation? Comments? Okay. Would either you, Marta, or maybe somebody else from Team One walk us through the preparation quadrant?
Maybe someone
David,
else?
I couldn't hear you. Was it just me?
I could hear him.
Okay. I'll speak up a little bit more.
Pedram, would you be willing to walk through 3? Because I think you had some good points there.
Actually, I love to, but I cannot see that.
Can I zoom it in?
Yeah.
Yeah, now I can see that. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, we talked about, actually we added, I'm not sure about the thing, how we clustered that, but about the other things, we thought that when we are thinking about preparation, we need to think about preparation of people and also the other things which are related to preparation. For instance, the materials and also the room. So on the left side, you can see that we have added 2 other things related to preparation. And also the other thing is mainly about the agenda and being prepared for it. Here we, maybe we can add it. How we define preparation? What do we mean when we are asking people to be prepared? It is not sometimes clear what do we mean. And about the next steps, that again, we should be prepared in advance. That okay, what will we do after the end of the meeting? It's also another cluster. And about the scope of the the margins and scope of the kickoff meeting. So they are not clear, and also the roles and responsibilities are also not clear. Sorry for being stuttered. That's it.
Any commentary or clarifying questions as we go through here? Great. Team 2, would you walk us through? You can choose whichever.
Yara, do you want to split it up? Shall I do the first and you do the second?
That'd be perfect. Sure.
All right, great. So first of all, we saw connections between the second and the fourth one while we were doing them. So one of the things is this all presentation, no discussion. Also is slightly related to this people being expected to align and not, it's not a co-constructed approach. Doing too much for the plan time, I think, is probably something on its own. But then when you do too much for the plan time, there's also no time to do these other things that are important, which is no process defined for surfacing disagreements and not clear how to make decisions, which I think are slightly related to each other as well. And then this not being aligned on the end goal, which relates, I guess, a little bit to some of the other things in the quadrant 3 as well. What are we trying to achieve today, but also no clarity about the priority of the project amongst other projects, if those people work together on these other things as well. And then also the bad follow-ups and the plan about communication after the meeting seem to be related also as things that could be missing. And then these two are separate, plan about roles and stakeholders. I don't think that relates necessarily to the others, but maybe a little bit in terms of follow-up as well. And agility, which I wasn't sure really what we were going to do with that.
Is the author of that note agility?
I'm the author of that
Yes.
note. I was thinking about the plan about communication after the meeting, plan about roles and stakeholders, and how the teams are going to be working together. That was the idea that I have.
Okay.
And if maybe it's going to be in an agile context or something like that.
Okay. Well, it's close to all of them, so I guess it works out in terms of clustering.
I love the point about the prioritization. Like, how does this project, how will it fit in given our other priorities? I think that's a really great point. Okay, let's go across.
Shall I add something to this part about? Shall I add something to that part?
Sure, Pedram.
Maybe it's there, but I cannot see that. I'm very, we have this problem here, which is documentation. We do not know how to document it, and sometimes there's no document to refer. And the other thing, I don't know, is it about this part or the other part, is about hidden agenda. That we don't have, that there are some hidden agendas. And, after a while, we realized that this meeting was, something just on surface. And when you are looking deeply, you can see that there are some other hidden agendas that makes you disappointed.
I'm going to mark those down.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Pedram.
Thank you.
Practical concerns.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So the things that there was a lot of comments about just the timing of things, and there not being enough time, whether people are kind of like in the mindset to even have that. So in terms of timing, like, are they having stacked meetings? Is lunch being passed around and people are talking about the lunch, and so like people being distracted. So just about the timing of it came up a lot. So scheduling, getting people on the calendar, finding the right time to meeting, but it not being the right time and so forth. So that was one cluster. And then there was some information about kind of like it kind of is very similar to like the preparedness stuff, like people not reading pre-reads, people not coming prepared, or just not having enough information at the start at this meeting, this kickoff meeting. And then we also clustered just more practical things in terms of like what people's preferences are to meet, whether it be hybrid, whether it be in person, or whether it be a tool that's used. And then there was some comments about no-shows, like what happens if people just don't show up. And I feel like that's kind of like maybe a priority thing too. And these two things, we kind of put them together, not inclusive and no lunch budget. I'm not sure what was meant by non-inclusive is if it's like the wrong people being there and or like no lunch budget. Is it like other teams are getting budgets, but this team is not getting a budget? I'm not sure, but so we just kind of like put those two together as well.
Okay. Did anybody want to comment on not
yeah, about not inclusive? It was my point, for instance, in some sessions, we have some people who have problems with hearing or sight problems, or maybe they have some movement problems. and we do not consider those problems, so they cannot participate effectively because we haven't thought about that problem.
Okay, I see Elise going in there. Thank you. Okay, this is great. We have a really wonderful set of challenges, which is usually a bad thing. But for our purposes, we've got a lot to choose from. So we're going to move into another game, and it's just to the right here. It's our aqua colored header. I'll bring everybody over to me. So we've got space for 4 groups, but we're going to keep to the groups that we were just in. Okay, so it's going to be group 1 and group 2 here. So what I'd like for you to do, I'm going to send you back into your breakout groups for 10 minutes, and I'd like for you to pick a challenge that we just heard. It can be from the section that you were affinitizing. It could be from one of the other sections. Okay, it doesn't matter which one. Just something that you agree upon with your team. And what I'd like for you to do is write the challenge at the top where it says to write your challenge, and then brainstorm ways in which to make this particular challenge even worse. So the name of this game is called the anti-problem. And it's a great way, believe it or not, to come up with solutions by first starting out with how we can actually make the problem worse. This is actually a lot of fun as well. So if the challenge was to increase the sales of a particular product, we might brainstorm ways to make it as hard as possible for customers to buy. So we're going to do this 10 minutes. You're going to pick a challenge once you go back into your breakout groups, and then you're going to brainstorm ways in which to make the challenge even more difficult to overcome. And then we'll come back. We'll do a quick report out on the process of it all before we get into proper solutioning. Any questions on what we're doing here before we go back into our breakout groups?
Could you turn on, in the future, could you turn on live captions? Because I can barely hear you.
Yes, I will. I'm actually going to stop the share. I'll get into that. I'll make sure it happens by the time you come back.
Yeah, and next time I'll get noise canceling headphones. I'm just in a noisy place. I don't think it's your fault.
Okay. Well, we'll get that turned on. I'm about to open the rooms. And I'm going to put 10 minutes. There we go. How was that? Oh, hi, Pedram. I can see you now.
That was really good.
Did you have fun?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it reminds me of a liberating structure called Triz, but it's done slightly differently.
Yeah. Would you mind? We have a second here if you want to explain what that is.
It's exactly like create an anti-problem and figure out the best way to make the anti-problem happen. And then it has other steps afterwards. So I'm going to find out if the steps are similar.
But we'll see. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there are 4 or 5 different methods that have this pattern.
Yeah.
What I like here is that it's very easy to ruin and destroy, to make it worse. It's difficult to solve.
Right. And that there's a paper by a researcher named Baumgartner on the name of it is Bad is Stronger Than Good. So we tend to relate or could come up with negative aspects of something. I think the paper said it was something at a 5-to-1 ratio, just because the way we evolved, we had to, we avoid the bad things. That's how we survive, not by going after the good things, right? We have to avoid the large cats who are lurking in the bushes that want to kill us. So actually the paper, I think, used married couples. I think that's what it was. And they said for every one bad thing my partner does, they have to do 5 good things to make up for it. And so that's how they come up with the ratio. But so it's from a facilitation technique, you can tap into that by asking people to brainstorm their uncertainties or brainstorm ways that you can make this worse, because we just naturally go there to a higher degree. So any other comments on the process? Was there one in particular that you found humorous? Did you move into the humorous area? or was it all very sincere in terms of how you make it worse?
David, what I liked was the time that, for instance, Marta said something, and it was a click in my mind that, it's the same problem here. So how we have same problems and how it's getting worse in different cultures, it's very nice for me, It's empathizing, if you see what I mean.
Good. So what we're going to do now is we're gonna flip it, which is actually another game storming game. We're doing like a deconstructed flip it here. So we're gonna keep going over to the right, and we're gonna do something called the creative matrix. I'll bring you on the board, and I'll share. Let me share my screen for you, Pedro. Okay, so what we're going to do in the creative matrix is copy the same problem that you were just anti-probleming and bring it in and put it in where it says group 1 or group 2. And then this is intended to be some sort of structured creativity. So I'd like for you to solve your challenge by using the column header. So in the first column, how would you take a people-centric approach to solving your challenge? Then how would you take a process-oriented approach? Preparation, practical concerns, and I've separated out process from product here just to make them a little bit more distinct and clarifying. So now we're going to go in and come up with real solutions, but based on the column header for your problem. And you can brainstorm as many ways that you could use people to solve your problem or process, but try to get something, at least one solution in every one of your cells. And I'll do this for another 10. I think 10 minutes seems to be a good click for us to go here. And maybe I'll pull you back just because I'm keeping an eye on the clock for us to have some reflection and close out. Any questions? It looks like we lost a few people, but I think we have enough. I think we'll have 2 people in each group. Or actually, no.
David,
yes.
I couldn't get the connection of this part with the last one. I mean, do we have to think about those situations that are worse and then come back here, or they are not related to each other?
It might. Hopefully, the last activity was a little bit of a Kickstarter in that, in making it worse, maybe you did by going in one direction, you saw how you might actually solve the problem by going in another, or maybe not taking such an exaggerated view of making it worse. Now I'm hoping that the creative juices are flowing a little bit more, and you can now come back in and propose some solutions for your challenge that you might implement in your next kickoff meeting.
I see.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to put 10 minutes on the clock. Again, try to come up with at least one Post-it note for each cell, and I'll bring you back and discuss after that. So the rooms are open. So let's talk about that really, really quickly, and more so reflection on the process of going through that and kind of being forced to come up with a solution given a certain topic or given a constraint, perhaps. Well, I'll just kick it off. I ended up collaborating with Maha, which was great. And one of the things that I noticed is that it actually was difficult. And I don't know if it was the order that I put the topics in, and one tends to be more difficult. But as I started to go through, and I was on, the third or fourth one, I then went back and said, oh, but now I came up with this process topic, but that sparked a people solution. And I would go back and I would fill things in. So it was a matter of really not trying to self-edit and just put things down. And the more things I put down, the more better things ended up coming up in other categories that I wasn't working on.
Yeah, I agree. And we shouldn't fixate on where it goes as long as it's a useful thing. but it's good to have them broken down, and then in the end, a lot of them are a combination, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the things that we came up with on their own would help, but I think there were some natural pairings with solutions from other topics that would make them even more effective. Any other reflections or comments on the activity? Okay. So we've got 12 minutes left.
David,
Yes, Pisham.
there was an input from Marta. Maybe it could be also a good thing to practice is looking at the on the last activity, which was how to make it worse, and then bring all the post-it notes here and trying to solve all of those points in a positive way and put it in the related box.
That's right.
If you see what I mean.
There's actually there's an activity. It's called in GameStorming. I'm happy to provide a link. It's called Flip It, and that's exactly what you do. So it still starts with the negative. What are all your fears about kickoff meetings, and then you go one by one and you say, given that fear, what would your hope be for with given that same topic?
Exactly.
So we took it in a slightly different direction, but you're exactly right. You can absolutely go with that as well. So
Perfect.
Just agenda improvisation from a timing standpoint, because I don't want to rush out of here. What we would do next, and this might be better as an individual activity, is to do something the circle of control. So what we would do here is take each one of our solutions and put it in the staging area, and then put it in the appropriate circle. So I can send out pre-work ahead of time. Well, that's something as the meeting organizer I could do. So I would put that post-it note right in group 2. It's in my control. And so you would do that for each of the solutions that you came up with. Is it completely in your control? Do you have a strong amount of influence in it, or is it out of your control? So as you're preparing for your next meeting, you might want to go back through the solutions we came up with and do this activity. Can
I say something quickly?
Yes, Maha.
When you go through this process, it might make you make some changes to make something rather than outside of your control within your influence. So for example, sending stuff out doesn't mean people will read it, but maybe if you ask them to do something with it ahead of the meeting before they come, then that kind of makes it influential, like you're influencing them to read it.
Right. That's great. So we might say in my control, I can send the pre-work assignment out. My area of influence is I'm going to invite commentary and questions about the content, the presentation I sent out ahead of time. So what I'd like for us to do is just a reflection activity here. We're not going to break out into groups. I'm going to put 2 minutes and 30 seconds on the board, and we're calling this 2 new things. So, I've got my apologies here. Although, you know what? They're actually not that different. For each of the columns here, I'd like for you to come up with one new thing that you'd like to try when you're running kickoff meetings. Maybe there's a technique or a game that we played here. And another, in the second column, one new thing you'd like to try for kickoff work in general. Maybe that's a follow-up, or maybe it's part of the prep work. So something in meeting and something out of meeting. If you can come up with more than one for each, go ahead. I think we'll have plenty of time to do it. But just some reflection that you can now, maybe you want to take with you in your next, in planning for your kickoff and the meeting itself.
David, what was the name of that activity which was think about the worst situation? Anti what?
The anti-problem. Okay. there's any more reflections, feel free to take a little more time and get them up. So each of the games that we played here is up in our header. So we've got the carousel, the anti-problem, the circles of concern, and then the creative matrix. So those will all be linked. And you have access to this board. So make a note of the link if you want to come back to it. Maybe at least we can put it in the discussion. Okay. So if you want to come back, steal whatever you want from here. Also mentioned that we've got some resources for you. So this is a link to Elise's How to Run a Project Kickoff meeting. We've got what we were really doing in the description. I said we were going to remix a popular game storming game. So the one we were doing, and the reason every one of our topics started with a P is because we were working on the 7 Ps framework, which was a meeting preparation game. It's part of the facilitators toolkit. And we just use that for the carousel and for the creative matrix as our topics. And so the game is there, but I've also just made a separate canvas for you to print out or to use digitally if you'd like to use this to prepare for your meetings, any kind of meeting. This isn't just a kickoff meeting. I see something in the chat.
Maha's commenting on Triz.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you'll notice the creative matrix. It's a Luma Institute game. It's not game storming. Oh no. A lot of things are game storming. I think you get you've gotten a flavor of what it is. Game storming, of course, is not limited to the 88 games that are in the book or whatever we have online. It's really more of an approach to the way you have a meeting here. And hopefully I didn't talk a lot because the idea is for we as facilitators do 80% of our work in the preparation of it, and then allow you to bring your expertise in your content here. So the 7 Ps is a great way to help you in that preparation. And Elise, I'll turn it back over to you unless anybody has a final thought or a question before we go.
Yes, David, about that 7 Ps, can you please expand on that pitfalls a bit?
Well, so Elise brought in the chat, she mentioned some research around premortems. And so when you plan or when you think through risks, whether it's of a project or of a meeting, and you write them down, you're actually more likely to achieve success. So it's good for you to think about how the meeting might go wrong, right? Kind of like we did with our carousel. What are the challenges? So the more risks that we can point out ahead of time, the more likely we are to avoid those risks.
I see. Yep. And David, when we are dividing these parts, sometimes I have this problem that people are very committed to find out which post-it note goes to which one. And sometimes, they lose the main goal that it really doesn't matter that exactly which one goes to which one. The important thing is to just jot it down. Have you had such a problem there? No.
Yeah, a lot of times.
This canvas is sometimes it's not helping. It's another pain in the neck. That people are very much focused on where to put that post-it note. So that's it. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, I think you got a lot of different personality types, and some people are very literal, and a lot of people have learned to self-edit. And so I think you can speak to it and you can say something like, it's better to be done than to be perfect. And that's the style here. I think a more indirect way, and something I'm constantly reminding myself, is to put a timer on everything. Right. And I think once people feel the pressure of the time, and to even make an activity feel deliberately as though there isn't enough time, and get people just don't give them the opportunity to overthink or to self-edit. You might even, whoever creates the most Post-it notes, I'll send you a copy of the book, something like that. Like you'll get the badge, or give them some kind of incentive to go for output over quality. But other people, have you experienced this problem in different approaches?
I run into that. We get a lot of people who are rule followers. They want to get it right. They're in a group and they're doing things together and they want to get it right. So exactly what you just said. And then the other thing I do is like, hey, there is no right. You cannot win, and there will be no prize. There is no judgment. I did one. It's probably in the right category. Doesn't really matter. Oops. Here we go. And you just, speaking of getting things right, one of the things we like to get right is to end officially on time. So I want to make sure you know what happens next. We will take the recording here and post this in the meeting innovation community. I'll also export the mural board and post that and type in as a picture so we can see it later in case you can't access Miro. And all the links that Dave's embedded, we'll put all of those links in as just hard links. So those will be there. Would love feedback. And then, of course, tell your friends so that we have more friends join us in a timely way. That would be awesome. So there is another workshop scheduled for November, and we have a couple more coming where people are negotiating times and things. If you have things you would like to see us do in the meeting innovation community, holler, because getting to compare perspectives across methodologies and domains is really fun. So, and with that, we are officially done, and we will hang for continued conversation for anybody who has more questions.
Thanks, Elise. Thanks, Padram.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Maha.
Thank you, Elise. Thank you very much.
I gotta go now.
All right. Good night.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Maha.
Sorry, it just took me a minute to unmute.
It's okay.
No worries.
It was great to meet you, David. Great
Bye.
to see you again.
You too.
It was very useful.
And you.
Okay, good.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.